Tenshinhan, the original prodigy of Dragon Ball, as I like to call him, because when he first appeared in Dragon Ball, he was a prodigy and a major rival to Goku, and I will talk about that a little bit more in a second. But in the Tournament of Power, was Tien wasted? Absolutely. Here we have this exceedingly interesting character that we could expand more on. He has all these interesting techniques, and he has 3 eyes. Like, never in the history of Dragon Ball have they really gone into the lore surrounding us. You know, why does he have 3 eyes? You know, you could say he's like the 3-eyed clan or something like that. What does that mean? Like, what is his 3rd eye? This would have been a major potential to actually expand on that, you know, give him a new ability. Say, okay, I've been, expanding on my abilities, and we'll get into a second on how he could have utilized like a new ability. But first, let's look at his involvement in the other arcs so that we can have a little bit better context to discern how much he was wasted in the Tournament of Power. So originally in Dragon Ball, as I said, I like to call him the original prodigy because he was a prodigy. He was like a major rival to Goku and actually defeated Goku in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. So albeit that was very, very narrowly, but he was a major force to be reckoned with all of his interesting techniques, his forearmed move, his, Kikoho, and Dodonray. He didn't even do the Dodonray. So there's a lot of potential to use these to benefit the story. It was definitely squandered in the Tournament of Power. But looking at Dragon Ball as a whole, he hasn't really been like a major player. He's been like one of the side guys. He was one of the guys to go train with Kami for the Saiyan arc. And one of my favorite moments from him was against Nappa when Chaozu blew himself up against Nappa. Tien just flipped out and just went all out against Nappa. Amazing scene there, using up all of his energy in that last Kikoho to try to kill Nappa, but failed and died. Between the Frieza and Cell arc, this is when like the human characters, especially Tien, Yamcha as well, really got downgraded in their involvement, where Tien had one moment in the Cell arc. You know, he was around, but he really couldn't do much, and he really only did the one thing, which was to hold Cell back with the Neo Tri-Beam, which was great that they kind of gave him a new, improved, vastly overpowered technique to even hold this guy back. Now, that's another video entirely as to whether or not that makes sense, like power scaling wise, but the fact remains that that was a great moment in his Dragon Ball career. But now it gets to what I really wanted to get into, which is the Buu arc, in which he is mostly absent and may have well just have been absent the entire time. But there would have been the question of where was Tien during this entire thing, you know? But he does show up, Tri-Beams Buu tanks, does nothing, and that's the end of him in the entire series of Dragon Ball Z. But the reason I bring this up is to compare his involvement in Dragon Ball Z, especially the Buu arc, to Dragon Ball Super, is that I feel that he has had a little bit more prominence in Dragon Ball Super. Now, this is both kind of a positive and a negative here, because both you can say, hey, it was really great seeing him involved a little bit more in the group and do a little bit more. That was awesome. But at the same time, it was kind of a tease. Because, you know, we get to see him more, but he doesn't do anything still. Like, there's that hope there. Like I said, there's a lot of hope for him to do something in this tournament, and all of that potential, all of that hope was just completely squandered. You know, you go to Battle of Gods. Of course he couldn't do anything to Beerus, but he still tried, which is great. You know, A for effort. Resurrection F. Cool stuff against this Frieza soldier. That was a great opportunity to get these weaker characters involved in the story and the movie as well. It did a really cool job of Krillin and Tien and those guys having some cool moments fighting the Frieza soldiers, you know? So at the same time, it left us wanting more from these guys, you know? There are opportunities and ways of doing this to make the side characters a little bit more relevant to the story, other than just, you know, having them do nothing, just, you know, filling up screen time until the heroes that have the actual major power come in and just do all the work. Which leads into the universe survival arc, the hope that these minor characters would actually get to do something of relevance, hold off the other universe's weaker members, you know, while the stronger guys hold off the stronger members of the other universes. So in some ways, I think this did a fairly decent job, but for the most part, I think it left a lot of us just wanting more, wanting something of substance for these side characters, especially when it comes to Tenshinhan, which, when it comes to his recruitment episode, I thought was pretty interesting. It was a little bit different, the story was a little bit wonky, Roshi was a rapist, and the power scaling was completely whack. So here you have this really awesome premise. Tien has actually established a martial arts like academy, and he's teaching. He has a bunch of students that are just following his lead. You know, I was so excited to see one of these guys actually doing something with the skills that they've attained over the years. And so it's like, oh, cool, we're gonna see like Tien do something really cool in this episode. And of course, it was kind of a combination recruitment of Roshi and Tien, where Roshi gets kind of hypnotized and he has a little scuffle with Tien. And I'm like, okay, well, Tien's just gonna knock him down and, you know, save his academy. Or maybe like the magic makes Roshi stronger and they're gonna have like this cool fight. Okay, I'm excited for this now. Nope. What happens? Roshi just knocks Tien down easily and then defeats him. What? Now, I am all for Roshi getting stronger, and we'll get to Roshi's episode whenever I can get to it. But this here is the biggest irritation that I have here. Why do you need to knock another character down in order to power up another character, especially with Roshi? There is no sense to be made with Roshi being stronger than Tien, or being able to even defeat him in a little scuffle. You know, you could say Tien was holding back, but he's like, oh no, that's Master Roshi for you. I'm like, what the dude, you were like 10 times stronger than Roshi was when you fought Nappa. Why is Roshi giving him such a hard time here? He does his forearm technique, and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks really cool, man. They're bringing that back. It was for the sole purpose of a throwback. Hey, remember when Tien did this? Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, it's done now. Roshi beats him. And then Goku has to step in. Like, why does Goku have to step in at all? That would have been an amazing fight if they would have just said, hey, the magic makes Roshi and all of the students stronger, so Roshi gets like a massive power boost or something like that, and then is able to be a little bit on par with Tien. So that was a squandered opportunity to have a really cool fight and really kind of pump up both of these characters at the same time. And instead, they just opted for, hey, let's pump up Roshi's cred, and at the cost of Tien, you know, because why not? Hey, remember when Roshi did this electrical attack? We do too. So while I thought the concept of Tien establishing this school was awesome, I think the execution, especially when it comes to Roshi and Tien, just beating down Tien to pump Roshi up was entirely unnecessary and just, you know, does not make sense within the context of the story and what we've seen prior to that from like Roshi's power. Roshi fighting Frieza soldiers was getting tired out, whereas Tien was just, you know, going strong the whole time. So like I said, all it takes is just one or two little throwaway lines. You know, the magic made Roshi stronger, or Tien's holding back because he doesn't want to hurt Roshi. Just one little bit there that just would have made the whole thing a little bit easier to bear. But with his increased involvement in Super, I'm thinking, okay, well, we still have the tournament. We're going to get some really cool stuff because we're getting some cool stuff with everyone else. You know, it is only logical to think that we're going to get a lot with Tien, or at least something. Because, you know, in the Boo arc, he had one little tiny scene, and Super is making us think that he's going to be a little bit more prominent in the story and have at least a moment in the Tournament of Power. So, Tournament of Power starts. Most disappointment ever. Tenshinhans stands in the circle for 10 episodes, gets eliminated. Episode 101, he has an assist with Master Roshi. Roshi does the electrical attack, Tien does his tri-beam because that's the only thing that he's good for apparently. He has all these really interesting and cool techniques that they can expand on and make more interesting, but no, the tri-beam is all that he can do. So he has an assist with Roshi. Episode 106 happens. Whenever I think about this episode, I just get angry. Like my mood lowers. If I'm having a great day and I think about this episode, my day turns to shit. Because I still hold on to hope. I have hope that Tien will do something cool. Being one of my favorite characters, I'm like, okay, you know, they're giving everybody else like at least a little bit of a moment here. They'll give him something to grasp onto, something of worth. What happens in 106? Most of the episode is focused on Gohan and Piccolo. Half of the episode, I would say, is focused on Goku and Vegeta trying to fight Clayface. And a good, 2 minutes of this episode consist of Tien running in a straight line toward a sniper. And another thing, why did Tien have to be the one to find the sniper? Why couldn't Goku and Vegeta go after the sniper and Tien just tri-beam the crap out of the enemy that's standing right out in the open? Or hell, the sniper blew off 3 of Piccolo's arms. Have Piccolo be the one to eliminate him, for God's sake. You know, you don't have to come up with like contrived excuses to eliminate Universe 7's team. They can be eliminated in a dramatic way. So what happens? Tien runs at the sniper in a straight line using his multiform technique, and it is explained, apparently since Dragon Ball, this technique has not been improved whatsoever, as it is explained by Krillin that he still splits his power into 4 parts. You know, this would have been a cool opportunity to say, hey, I expanded on this technique. Now I don't lose power when I split into 4. So many opportunities here to have a really interesting and cool fight, but instead we have Goku and Vegeta throwing rocks, Piccolo getting his arms blown off, and Tien running toward an enemy in a straight line, just getting shot. Now, I will say that when he does stop in the middle of like his running path to do a tri-beam, that was pretty cool. He rips apart the mountain the sniper was hiding behind and basically injured both of his shoulders, and none other part of his body was injured, just his shoulders, so that he couldn't move his arms, but his arms were pointed down. So when he hardly had any involvement in the Boo saga, it was like, okay, he's probably not going to be very prominent in Super, but then Super happens, you know, he's hanging out with the group in the Beerus saga. He is fighting Frieza's soldier when Frieza shows up. He is involved in this recruitment arc. I mean, he's established a school. Okay, that's pretty cool. You know, even though they're building up Roshi more than him, surely they're not just gonna trash all over him. They're gonna give him some type of moment that's at least somewhat satisfying. But what we get is Tien standing over his defeated foe, only to get eliminated by him, only to find out that, no, wait, he had more clones or something, to knock his foe down and hold on to his foe so that he doesn't, jump back up onto the stage? Did it really need to be all 4 of them to knock this guy with 2 injured shoulders off of the stage after he was just standing at the edge of the stage? A simple kick would have sufficed. Or, better yet, a Dodonray. So spoilers for chapter 34 of the manga. I will say that in the anime that they at least gave him this. They at least gave him the elimination of the sniper guy. In the manga, it's much worse. After this, I was like, maybe they'll do a better job in the manga. Nope, they will do far worse. What does Tien do in the manga? One tri-beam against Frost, boom, eliminated. Tri-beam does nothing against Frost, which it shouldn't do, and then Frost knocks him out of the ring. Boom, done. Tien is done. There goes all of that hope that maybe Tenshinhan is going to do something cool or have a cool moment. And while you could say, okay, yeah, he tri-beamed and, knocked out the sniper guy that was giving other guys a problem. You know what would have made that way more impactful is introduced the sniper guy like 1 or 2 episodes before that. Have him give Universe 7 and other universes some trouble and have Tien kind of notice him and say, hey, I think I might be able to pinpoint this guy's location. As well as in the very beginning of the tournament, when Tien senses that there's something up with, Universe 4, I think it was, with the invisible guy. I was actually looking forward to a fight between the invisible guy and Tien, another squandered opportunity that would have been amazing to have Tien fighting this invisible guy, because maybe he's the only one with the ability to see this guy. But this is Dragon Ball Super, so they don't want to do anything too interesting, especially with these side characters. So all in all, guys, while his involvement in the series as a whole, from Dragon Ball to Z to Super, hasn't been like that influential, he hasn't been like a main player, so you can't really expect him to do like major things other than maybe hold an enemy back like he did with Cell. Especially when it comes to the Buu saga, which is why I mentioned it. He had one brief appearance and that's it. So what can you expect from a character that's had such a minor impact to things as a whole, other than having some cool moments? However, when Super arrived, they seemed to be building him up to have more involvement in the series, which was great, and I'm glad that we have what we do have with this character. However, he deserves more respect. Like, this character in general, very interesting, really unique techniques compared to the other characters, and I think he can add a lot of flair to the series and could have added a lot of flair to this tournament and a really interesting dynamic that they just did not follow through with. Part of me is happy that he is involved as much as he is, but the other part of me is just freaking pissed off that they just treat him with so much disrespect. I mean, Roshi beating him up? Come on, guys. As always, thanks so much, guys, for watching. Do not forget to rate and share the video. And as always, take it easy.